going to be a short video on this 922 Cat wheel loader. You see it here. And this is not a articulating wheel loader, it actually steers in the back. The rear axle steers here. It's got a little 4-cylinder diesel in it. And I do not know the exact year of this machine, but the tag there's a tag on it. It gives a model number. I think it's a 59A series. There's a model number there, if you want to read it. And on this side you got this is your hydraulic tank here. And you got a little access panel. This lets you get to the linkage for the 2 hydraulic levers. You can see it right in there. And that's one of the battery boxes there. And I have had to replace one of these hydraulic hoses. This one will probably need replaced soon. It looks to be an original one. It's starting to come apart. The other side has been replaced in the past. It's got the 2 cylinders here that tilt the bucket, and the cylinders that lift it up are in the middle there. There's a bucket there. This is a fuel tank here, 34 gallon. And here's this is forward here, that's neutral, and that's reverse. And it has a transfer case, so it's got 4-wheel high and 2-wheel high right here. And this transfer case, 4-wheel low and 2-wheel high. But this transfer case, I always leave it in 4 low. And then you've got a speed selector, a first and a second gear. And when you shut the engine off, it actually goes to neutral. You can see start and run. So it automatically returns to start when the engine shuts off. I think it works off the clutch oil pressure in the transmission. But you pull it back once and that'll bring it into first. And then if you pull it back again, it'll go into second gear. If you want to go back to first, you just push it forward. Here's the gauges here. You have the temperature gauge, your oil pressure gauge, fuel pressure, and the amps. And there is a fuel level gauge. Mine does not work, but it's right under here. And there's supposed to be a sight glass here that would give you the fuel level and tell you how full the tank is. Then on this side you have air pressure, which is for the brakes, and the brakes on this machine do not work. It has air over hydraulic brakes. And then you have converter oil temperature and clutch oil pressure. And then you have your parking brake here and your hydraulic levers here. And to shut the machine off, well, start the machine, you have a battery disconnect switch that uses a standard Caterpillar key. And then you also have there's a switch here. Right now it is off. Then that gives you start. And I believe that is the glow plugs there. But to shut the machine off, you actually pull up on the fuel pedal. That's the run position there. And that's the stop position. Start it up real quick here. You can see once you start it, the clutch oil pressure will go up and your engine oil pressure will go up. And usually for this machine, or for my machine, it sits all the way at the top as far as the oil pressure, and the clutch pressure usually sits right at 200. But you've got this outer lever here lifts up the hydraulics. And you can set it, if you pull it all the way back like that, it'll stay back. And then when you push it all the way forward, it'll stay forward, and that's float right there. So with it all the way forward, there's no pressure down on the bucket, it floats. If you push it halfway forward, it'll put pressure down on the bucket. And then this lever here, the second lever, the one to the left, the one closer to you, that does the bucket tilt. So if you pull it back, it tilts the bucket back, and if you push it forward, it tilts the bucket forward. There's the back of the machine here. And that cover right there is how you get to the radiator cap. Yeah, so to shut the machine off, and here's the gear selector. If I pull it, that's first gear, and then that's second gear there. That's back to first. And once you put that in gear, you can, that's forward there, that's neutral, and that's reverse. That in gear, once I shut the engine off, that automatically returns to the start position. Once it loses pressure, it goes back on its own. There's the hydraulic cylinders there. You can see a better view of them from up top. And I have put, you can still go to your local Caterpillar dealer and get a new inner and outer air filter. And the inner air filter actually bolts in. That's what these bolts are for. There's studs on the air filter, and it has a metal plate that bolts in there. And when you do the air filters, if you have one of these on there, you're going to want to take this apart and clean it if it's full of dirt. And then I also replaced the fuel filters. I got those from my local Caterpillar dealer. And I was able to get the oil filter from my local Caterpillar dealer. Here's the back of the machine. You can see the radiator there. And it has a pin to hook a chain or something, like a draw pin. And to lift that up, it's actually connected. I don't know if all of them are like this or if just mine is like this, but it's connected to a piece of rebar. And you lift it up and slide it over, and that'll lift the pin up out of there. But this is all very heavy very thick steel. You can see how thick it is there. And I did weigh this machine. I took it to my local Caterpillar scale, and it weighed 17,800 pounds the way it sits right now. So it is a pretty heavy machine for its size, for how small it is. The only thing I had to do to this machine when I bought it is I had to take this cover off here. The hydraulics wouldn't move at all. So I took this cover off and I drained the hydraulic oil out. And there's actually a big hydraulic tank right under here. And that tank has the hydraulic valves inside of it with linkage that runs down. So I took the top cover off that tank and the detents were stuck. So I just freed those up, and then it was working good after that. And I did have this hose go out on me, which I already mentioned. So I went and made a new one of those. The model number is actually behind there. But, yeah. Yeah, if you have any questions about this machine, just put them down in the comment section and I'll try my best to answer them. And I do have, if you need the part numbers for these filters, they're updated part numbers. I can give them to you real quick here. Having a hard time getting a filter for it. The new part number for the outer filter is a 7W3920, and the part number for the inner filter is a 2S1284, and you can see how that one bolts inside there. And the fuel filters, I believe they use the same part number still. Yeah, so if you have any questions about the machine or anything, just put them down in the comments and I'll try my best to answer them. Thank you for watching. Please comment, like, and subscribe.